The 7 deadly sins are symbolic lists of the most destructive human tendencies. In today's context, the 7 deadly sins are often understood not just as religious offenses, but as toxic patterns of human behavior. Hey, I'm Lidas, and it's not a serious matter video, and these are the 7 CS players who represent perfectly the 7 deadly sins, and we are starting with Sloth. Sloth is known as sin of laziness, and the person who perfectly represents this sin is well-known player who changed his mouse during the tournament. His name is Mohamed Malhaz or Boros. This guy claimed to be a future star on the last CSGO Major. Everyone on the tournament was, whoa, how was he playing like that? This aggressive playstyle of his was something unique. With Monty already in the main stage, they destroyed Navi and Simple with 2-0 score, where they secured the playoffs of the major. However, already in the playoffs, they lost to Gamer Legion. But it was still a huge milestone for underdog team like them, especially for Boris. After the major, all attention was on the rising star of Monty, and one organization with infinite money signed the Rocky, and afterwards signing the coach Sonic and Magisk from Vitality. But the end score wasn't really what I expected from Falcons with unlimited money. But okay. However, Falcons were straight up garbage. The young star was supposed to be a carry, ended up being widely inconsistent. And before his inconsistency, Sonic came out and said that he needed to become more professional, and he did.
Stop the cap!
And it wasn't about his individual performance, rather it was his attitude of working. He had so much raw talent, but didn't put into work to unlock his full potential. This lined up perfectly with the sin of Sloth. He was always late on practice, didn't put in the effort, and lacked motivation. Even Boris himself admitted at one point that his motivation was just starting to return. Later, at the first CS2 major in Copenhagen, Falcons ended with a disappointing result, and Boris received heavy criticism from teammates after changing his mouse mid-tournament.
But it's risky change your mouse.
This thing with changing mouse.
Don't change your mouse.
I still have no idea why the hell Falcons include that in their vlogs. At least they cropped out everyone's reaction except Sonic's. But you can still find the original video on YouTube. After the disappointing result on the major, Boris got benched from Falcons and he blamed himself. But let's be real. It wasn't just about the mouse change, it was his overall attitude and lack of work ethic. Not long after, the British organization ETB or Into the Breach decided to sign him. He got his second chance to play at least in tier 2 team. Maybe this time he won't screw it up, but after only 41 days in the team, he was benched again, and it was probably for the same reasons as in Falcons. ETB themselves tweeted after parting ways with Boris, still a talent, it just ain't quite working. That clearly suggests that Boris once again let his laziness and lack of professionalism hold him back. Despite being lazy, Boris is still playing competitively on tier 3 scene, unlike this person who ended his professional career and faced the sad consequences in his life. Owen Oberschlatter is perfect representation of the sin of gluttony. Gluttony is excessive consumption beyond what is necessary to meet one's needs. When we think of gluttony, we usually picture someone eating a lot, but it's so much more than that. Gluttony is about overconsumption in any form. It's a constant need to fill a void with more. Obo was the prodigy of American region and once called the hope of American CS. He was an exceptionally talented young kid and was mechanically gifted. He was noticed more of his achievement on Faceit and was straight owning FPL in American region. By the year of 15, he got invited to Complexity and his first tournament appeared to be ETS in 2019. Even though they didn't win the tournament, he had an outstanding performance at his first LAN and was excited to play in Europe for the first time. But everything fell apart. In 2020, every CS activities were on hiatus, whatever, of the massive lockdown in the world. So America was isolated from Europe, where the most online events were played. For Complexity, that team that had 3 European players at that time, they were forced to play and stay in Europe. It wasn't a big deal, you might say. However, for 16-year-old Obo, it was opposite. This was for him an extra pressure. For the teen who was miles away from his parents and the homeland, it was undoubtedly a stressful situation. He did sign to play in Europe, but didn't want to live there permanently. He was stuck with unknown culture and society, and of course, Obo didn't hesitate and said to Complexity that he is not willing to play like this and wants to return home. so Complexity asked him to play at least one more tournament. At that time, Complexity were actually good, even winning the tournament in 2020. However, on September 22, this was one of the first mental breaks of Obo.
And Owen let me know that he was at the airport and his flight was in 2 hours.
Early in the morning, the CEO of Complexity informed that Obo was already in airport and was returning home. It was surely a betrayal move from him. Everyone was shocked and no one couldn't believe why he did that, because it was right before the big tournament. But anyway, decision was made, he just couldn't handle that as a kid. His team had no interest to return to America and it was probably the permanent decision. So after returning to America, in 6 months, he found a new place in Evil Geniuses. But it didn't work out with them. He started to play inconsistent and losing motivation, and it didn't take long for him to eventually quit EG. After some time, everyone began asking, where's Obo? The young prodigy had promising career just vanished from the scene, but the truth ran much deeper. On August 17, 2022, in his now deleted Twitter account, Obo shared a series of troubling photos. He appeared to be in poor condition, showing signs of self-harm and dirty appearance. The community was deeply concerned. No one had realized how serious his mental health struggle had become. The CEO of Complexity did reach out to his family and talk to them personally, but it didn't end it on that. Nearly a year after that controversial post, on April 20, Obo went live on his Twitch channel, but it wasn't a typical stream. He was giggling, smiling oddly, and during the stream, he openly confessed to being on Adderall.
I'm on Adderall withdrawal right now. I'm the best player in A, but I'm on Adderall withdrawal.
This medication commonly used to treat ADHD by improving focus and impulse control, but later in the stream he revealed that he wasn't just using Adderall, but also Vyvanse, another drug that also treats ADHD.
I used to be on 20 milligrams Adderall 3 times a day with 70 milligrams of Vyvanse. Now I'm...
This combination is extremely high risk, and it's likely that Obo had been using this medication long before that stream, possibly in higher than prescribed doses. He neglected the doses to satisfy his unfeelable voice, and that it had developed into addiction. But thankfully, Owen recently was spotted playing on Faceit and probably, as of right now, is feeling better. But he's not planning to return to CS anymore. The next person is actually a retired professional player from Switzerland who worked as a broadcast analyst, but his lustful desire ruined his career overall. The sin of lust described excessive or disordered desire for sexual pleasure, and Matthew Kikeros, as known as Maniac, is perfect candidate for the loss. Maniac is previous a professional player, began his professional career in 2007 at the age of 17, playing the classic CS 1.6. In an interview with Starin, he claimed to be one of the best players in Switzerland, and honestly, it's quite believable. But most success he got in stores playing with French teams and getting more connection with top players from their scenes. He has played with Apex, Happy, KNES, Shox, NBK and RPK. Playing alongside with the best players of French was flex in itself, but like many players, Maniac struggled to stand out after transition into CSGO. He was just a solo player, not a star player, while others took the spotlight, but still, he managed to win a few things along the way. As time went on and his performance declined, his career came to its natural end. But he found his new life at the analyst desk, a role he quickly fell in love with. He was beloved analyst of everyone. With his manner, grammar in his speech, and experience as a player, he was one of the best analysts on the broadcast. He was happy that he was still connected with CS while doing the job he loves, but his real nature would come out to the world. On September 4, 2024, on Twitter, this woman publicly accused Maniac of sexual harassment, making her uncomfortable at the afterparty during a CS tournament. She stated that Maniac was touching her in intimate places. At first, Maniac denied any accusations, that he arrived late to the party and didn't remember behaving like that. Lately, another woman responded to the Maniac statement that she's been also sexually harassed by him at the same afterparty in front of witness and her fiance, touching between her legs, waist, and chased her across the dance floor. Jesus Christ. After the initial allegation, Maniac didn't respond publicly for a while, but internal investigation by the tournament organization confirmed that the incident in fact did happen. As a result, no major organization has chosen to work with him since. But follow-up allegations were even more serious. A report from Dust2 included the statement from 8 different individuals described similar inappropriate behavior by Maniac at the other events, often involving non-consensual touching while he was drunk. And one particularly crazy thing was that he messaged a woman who was only 17 at that time. I will read it out loud. The message which the movement provided to Dust2 showed Manic asking in June if she was excited to turn 18 soon. By the way, he was 34 at that time. The day after the conclusion of the ESL Pro League 18 final in Malta, in which Manic worked, he messaged the woman again after she turned 18. She didn't respond. 5 hours later, he followed with an apology for being horny. 35 years old, grown up man. Later, he acknowledged having a long-term problem with alcohol and admitted he may have acted in a way he made people uncomfortable. He didn't explicitly admit to sexual assault, but he apologized for the bad behavior and said he was starting therapy to work on himself. After the response, he deleted his Instagram and Twitter account. Later, he reactivated all his social medias, but Maniac in fact was a real maniac. His reputation will be from now on labeled as a predator. While hoping to come back to Analysis Desk, which is unlikely, this player is facing problems and trying to prove that he is still capable to play CS on the highest level. Pride is an excessive belief in one's own abilities, or worse, thinking you're better than everyone else. And the perfect fit for this sin is already mentioned player before, Alexander Simple Kostylev. Simple is most known player generally in esports, while being one of the greatest players who ever touched CS. With such a dominance in CSGO, pride is almost inevitable. Not just because he is confident, but because for a long time his whole identity was built around being the best. He always been known for being good, statistically one of the best players who ever touched CS. But that pride hasn't always come across well. Early in his career, it often spilled into frustration, ego, and pretty toxic behavior.
Germans, see ya in hell, Germans.
He'd argue with teammates and openly criticize people who didn't meet his standards. A lot of it came from the mindset of why can't you just play this game properly like I do? Which sure might make sense from his perspective, but it didn't exactly make him the easiest person to work with. Over time, he matured, he became more focused, more professional, and started to work with his teammates instead of constantly expecting them to catch up to him. But anyway, his pride is still within him. Whether it's calling out their poor performance, arguing with teammates, or publicly asserting his views, this made him a controversial figure, loved and hated in equal measure. When Navi won the major in 2021, it felt like the moment where it finally paid off. Early in his career, Simple's pride manifested as his toxic behavior, but over time, he tempered that into focused dominance, showing that pride becomes ambition and drive. Simple isn't just skill, he is intense and perfectionist, and we could still see the glimpse of his own behavior that never really left. Although Simple is still chasing perfection and dominance, pride is both his edge and his flaw. But the next candidate was chasing something else. It ruined his reputation, career, and most likely, the entire life. Greed is an excessive desire for material wealth or possessions, often at the expense of others. And Joachim Mirbostad, as known as JKM, is a perfect match for this sin. JKM is a Norwegian professional player known for his aggressive rifling and clutch performances. His career took in global offensive with teams like LGB and Copenhagen Wolves, and he gained wider recognition during his time with FaZe Clan in 2015 and 2016, and after FaZe Clan, he played in various international teams and afterwards joining an Australian team, Renegades. With Renegades and later with Apex, with them, he reached the playoff of the majors. JKM was a respected figure in CS scene who was competing and representing Norway. However, everything changed after this. In March 2023, he borrowed about $11,000 worth of skin from a fan named Erlson, claiming he needed them for the Blast Paris major. And what JKM said after? Bro, just trust me. the skins were never returned. Over the next year, he made promises to repay, then broke them again, and only around $1,000 was paid back. JKM issued a public statement admitting to everything, saying, "I was an idiot. I take full responsibility." But that confession was just the beginning. As more people came forward, it became clear that JKM had borrowed skins from others too, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars or more. But wait, were all borrowed skins? Good question. You know the sound? Yeah, they were gambled away. It took public exposure for him to apologize. He still hadn't repaid what he owed. If he was truly sorry, he wouldn't have left this guy hanging for over a year. And yeah, after that, the consequences came quickly in April 2025. BC Game, the organization he played for, benched him. They said, "Bro, you're not playing until you repay your debt." Reports suggest that it's not just only $11,000. It could be more. Bro is cooked for real. He chose to borrow skins. He chose not to return what wasn't his. Gambling may have been the reason, but the mind of winning big prize and causing harm by stealing skins are still the act of the greed. Now JKM says he's trying to make things right. Only time will tell whether he can repay not just the money, but the trust. Probably for the next 10 years, his life will be doomed with debt, but the next person was the doom itself. Rest is defined as uncontrolled feelings of anger, rage, and even hatred. And the person who perfectly represents Rest is a Brazilian-Italian player, Vite Giuseppe, as known as KNG. KNG is a player known for his passionate playstyle and intense personality. He became famous in 2017 when he helped Immortals make it all the way to the grand finals of the major. He played really well, showed a ton of passion, and looked like a next big star from Brazil. But almost just as fast, things started going wrong. On DreamHack Open 2017 in Montreal, something unexpected happened.
We will not be seeing the first map of Mirage. It does look like the Immortals have forfeited it due to being late.
3 players of Immortals, one of them KNG, were late on the grand final of the tournament, and causing them to lose the game eventually. The reason was that they were partying all night before the finals. The trio received a lot of criticism by the community. After that, FNS, a Canadian player and IGL of CLG at that time, made a joke on Twitter, and actually it didn't look like a joke. Worst part is I lost a team with 3 players who were hungover. Mad emoji. One of Immortal players, Lucas, did note that post, of course criticizing FNS, but they ended up peacefully. However, KNG reacted differently compared to his teammate. "You'll prove it, or I'll kill you." Okay, everyone thought it was a comedian joke, but it was much deeper than that. This is already the deleted tweet, but Reddit remember everything. KNG told what happens from his perspective, blah blah blah, and the most spicy tweets were the last ones. "I never meant to justify a mistake with another one. We made a mistake and apologized, but we didn't go out to party. And this garbage FNS is gonna have to prove what he said. You're a wanted to show up with lies. I really do have you. Garbage and liar. You owe us respect." Later on the same night, the coach of Immortal, Zach, told FNS to leave hotel cause KNG was pissed and was looking for him throughout the hotel. Meanwhile, Zach held KNG in his room and had to call the police. Of course, KNG did pay for his actions and his contract with Immortals was terminated. And after his kick, about 3 months or maybe less, he found his new place with 2 teammates in 100 Thieves. But the problems were inevitable. And KNG was at that time like a Bitcoin, you have no idea how he will respond. And then there's a whole thing with Thorin. Thorin is a reporter known for being loud, opinionated, and a bit of troll. But with KNG, it went beyond. January 2018, Volum was complaining about neighbors in hotel. Thorin jokes that they were given 100 Thieves runes means to KNG's team. It was obviously a joke compared to FNS tweet, but it didn't matter. KNG took it personally. Again, he would reply aggressively, take shots back, and escalate things publicly in ways that felt way out of control. Later, once the same story as in Immortals, again, one of her fears kicked Genji of his uncontrollable behavior, and the most funniest part that he haven't even played an official game under them. He got in fights with many people, got into drama on Twitter, and made a name for himself as someone who couldn't really control his temper. But yeah, it's already in the past. Genji has already matured, and his hot temper has probably cooled a bit. But the next person is much more deceiving than he appeared. Envy is a jealousy toward another person's happiness, success, or possessions, and the person who perfectly represents this sin is Alexei Yali, aka Alu.
Are those red balls only for the commercials?
There was a time when Ants were one of the best team in the world. In 2019, they shocked everyone in the world, rising from underdogs to the best team in the world. Everyone praised their teamwork, their discipline, and above all, their leader, Alexei B. Meanwhile, Alu, probably the most well-known names in Finnish CS, a veteran Oper, he played at the highest level for years representing teams like NIP, FaZe, and Ants. Alu was once seen as a face of Finnish CS, but behind that calm image was a player deeply involved in the direction of his team. For a long time, it was his name that carried weight. But now, the spotlight had shifted, and it wasn't easy watching a younger player take the lead. According to Finnish podcast host Wiz Insider Knowledge, Alu was jealous that the public and the team credit shifted away from him, and success was linked to Alexei B, but not Alu. It's said that before Katowice Major in 2019, Alu was already working behind the scenes suggesting changes to get rid of Alexei B, which he accomplished after the Major. Alu later said that they kicked wrong person, it was the team decision, and he wasn't the only one who involved. And maybe that's true, but other his ex-teammates have since hinted that Alu was the loudest voice in the room. He had more influence than anyone else, and you should not trust his harmless nature. Alu surely didn't want to play under Alexei B, he wanted to be that guy again. And whether he meant to or not, his envy cost Ants their identity. After some time, Ants collapsed after Alexei B's exit. The team started to decline, and Finnish CS started to die. Only because he was feared of someone who could replace him. He thought that it would solve his personal problems, but it never meant to solve team's problem. It was always for the sake of his ego and jealousy, and it broke the legendary Finnish core, which we probably would never face again. And yeah, that's it. It's finally over for me. And you know guys, I kinda lied to you. This video was the serious one. Not the super serious, but in fact, it was the serious one. But you know what is matter? That you watch till the end. If you did, thank you so much. I really appreciate it a lot, and it means a lot to me. Actually, it means a lot to me. And I don't know why it took really long for me to edit this video, like about 3 months of editing, I guess. It kinda sucks to do it this way, but you know, I mean, I know the reason why, because nobody watched me anyway, and I'm a nobody, and I was too lazy to edit it, so yeah. But I promise it wouldn't happen if this video, like, I mean, if I had consistent viewers, but once again, it is what it is. Yeah. I guess it's time to end this video, right? Yeah, it's time to end. And yeah, if you like the video, hit the like button and subscribe on my channel. It will help me to quit my job as soon as possible. I'm joking. If you don't want to, you shouldn't, but it will support my channel a lot. And yeah guys, thank you so much once again, and I'm going straight to play Minecraft with my friend.